Good morning, wonderful Bethune third grade math scholars. This is Miss E back with you for another lesson. Today's lesson is Lesson 21, Solve Problems About Time. Lesson 21, Solve Problems About Time. Our standard for today is MGSE3.MD.1. Let's go to Use What You Know. In Lesson 20, you learned how to tell time to the minute. In this lesson, you use what you learned to solve problems. Okay, before we go take a look at this problem, I want to let you know that we have some new vocabulary this week for today. The vocabulary for this lesson is elapsed time. Elapsed time is the time that has passed between a start time and an end time. Okay, let's look at the problem. It says Beth left her house at 4:30 and she arrived at dance class at 5:05. How long did it take Beth to get from her house to dance class? Then it tells us to draw the hands on the two clocks below to show the two times. But we're going to take our clock and we're going to work our clock. So she left her house at 4:30, okay, and then she got to class at 5:05. So let's count around to find out how many minutes it took Beth to get to her class. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 5 more is 35. So it took Beth 35 minutes to get to her class. Let's move along. So when we looked at the first time, it was 4:30. And how many minutes before 5 is 4:30? If you said 30, you are correct. Now we're going to look at the second clock, and we're going to look over here. How many minutes after 5 is 5:05? Well, let's go back and see. Here's 5 o'clock, and 5 minutes after is 5:05, so it makes it 5 minutes. Now, how can we find the total amount of time it took Beth to get from her house to dance class? If we add the time from 4:30 to 5, which we said was 30 minutes, and then we add the 5 minutes more, we got a total of 35 minutes. Very good. Okay, moving right along. Okay. Now, elapsed time is the time that has passed between a start time and an end time. There are 3 ways you could find elapsed time in this problem. You can count by 5s on the clock. Okay, let's do that. 5, watch 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 35 minutes. At 5:05, the minute hand is on the 1. Okay? It took Beth 35 minutes to get from her house to dance class. Though you can add. Think about the elapsed time as the minutes before 5 plus the minutes after 5. 4:30 is 30 minutes before 5. 5:05 is 5 minutes after 5. So the 30 minutes before 5 plus 5 minutes equals 35 minutes. You can also use a number line. Each long mark on the number line shows 5 minutes. Count the minutes on the number line just like you would count minutes on a clock. So let's start. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 minutes, and that will give you 5:05. Okay. Now it says to reflect. Elsa started eating lunch at 11:25 and finished at 11:45. Explain how to find how long it took Elsa to eat her lunch. Okay, so if we take our clock over here, we start out at 11:25. 11:25. Okay, now she finished eating at 11:45. So 5, 10, 15, 20, and it's 11:45. So it took Elsa 20 minutes to finish her lunch. Now we're going to talk about finding the end time in word problems. Let's read the problem below, then explore different ways to find the end time when we know the start time and the amount of elapsed time. It says Jenna got home from school at 3:30. She did math homework for 10 minutes. Next, she did science homework for 15 minutes. And then she practiced the piano for 22 minutes. What time did Jenna finish? Well, we can use a clock to help us find the end time. Okay, so the first clock below shows 3:30 because that's when Jenna started her homework. So we're going to count 10 minutes, 5:10 for her math. 5:10 for her math, and then 15 minutes for her science homework. 5, 10, 15, and then 22 minutes for her piano practice. 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22. Okay, on the second clock, it says that she finished at 4:17. Did you get 4:17? You are correct. Okay, you can also use a number line to help you find the end time. The number line below shows times in hours and in minutes. Each long mark shows 5 minutes and each short mark shows 1 minute. So we're going to start at 3:30 and then we're going to show a jump on the number line for each task. Each jump is equal to the number of minutes it took Jenna to do the task. So she started at 3:30. It took her 10 minutes to do task 1, 15 for task 2, and then 22 minutes for the last one. And that brings us to 4:17. So the last jump on the number line shows what time Jenna was finished with all 3 tasks. So she finished at 4:17. Now to make connections. In this section, we're going to find the end time for the problem from the previous page. Okay. We're going to explain how to figure out the total elapsed time, that's the time that has passed from the number of minutes Jenna spent doing her homework and practicing the piano. Okay, so one thing that we can do is we can add up the different times. So we're going to add 10 plus 15 plus 22 minutes for the science equals 47 minutes. 47 minutes, okay? It took her 47 minutes to complete all of her tasks. Okay, number 3 says, explain how you can use the total elapsed time to find Jenna's end time for doing her homework and practicing the piano. Okay, so we can start at 3:30 on the clock and then count 47 minutes. Let's do that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 46, 47. There we go. So that's 47 minutes around the clock, and that's how we can tell the time. So what we did was start at 3:30 on the clock and count 47 minutes around the clock, and you came out to 4:17. Okay, now it says, what time did Jenna finish? Well, we said that she finished at 4:17. Why is the hour now 4 instead of 3? Well, the minute hand moved past the 12, so the hour changed from 3 to 4. Okay, number 5. Explain how to find the end time when you know the start time and the total elapsed time. Well, from the start time, you count around the clock the number of minutes equal to the elapsed time. Where you end up on the clock is the end time. If you count past the 12, you have to add 1 to the hour. Okay, so let's move right along. Use what you've learned about finding the end time to help you solve these problems. Okay, on a separate piece of paper, you can write this out. Okay, Nate finished dinner at 7:10. 7:10. He did dishes for 15 minutes and then took a shower for 10 minutes. And then he read for 15 minutes before he went to bed. What time did Nate go to bed? Okay, let's see. Let's start at 7. Take our clock and start at 7:10. 7:10. Okay, and then Nate did dishes for 15. 5, 10, 15. Okay, 15 minutes. And then he did 10 minutes in the shower. 5, 10. And then he did another 15 minutes of reading. 5, 10, 15. So Nate went to bed at 7:50. Okay? Kari started a phone call to her family at 5:45. Let's go to 5:45. Oops, not the whole clock, Missy. 5:45. Okay, 5:45. Okay, as you can see, I'm having a little bit of trouble, but the hour hand is in between the 5 and the 6, so it's not quite 6 o'clock. It's still 5:45. Okay, so she talked to her grandma for 10 minutes. Let's do that. And then the grandpa for 5. So here's 10 minutes for grandma, 5, 10. And then 5 minutes for grandpa, 5 minutes. That brought her to 6. And then her cousin for 8 minutes. So 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Yes, for her cousin. Okay, what time did Kari end the call? Let's see. So she ended her call at, let's see, so 5:45. Let's see. At 6:08, right? Yes, at 6:08. Okay. All right, let's move along to the next one. Now we've done that, we're going to talk about finding the start time in word problems. We're going to read the problem below and then explore different ways to find the start time when we know the end time and the amount of elapsed time. Mark's guitar lesson started at 5:20. It took Mark 15 minutes to get to his lesson from his house. But before Mark leaves, he has to do chores for 25 minutes. What time should Mark start doing his chores to get to his lesson on time? Let's do picture it. Okay, you can use the clock to help you find the start time. The clock shows 5:20, 5:20, okay, because that's when Mark's guitar lesson starts. So we're going to count 15 minutes backwards for the time it takes to get to his lesson. And then count 25 minutes backward for the time it takes him to do his chores. So 5, 10, 15 minutes to get to his lesson, and then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes backwards to do his chores. So Mark started doing his chores at 4:40. Okay, let's go on to modeling it. You can also use a number line to help you find the start time. The number line below is like the one used for the last problem. It shows times in hours and minutes. Each long mark shows 5 minutes and each short mark shows 1 minute. We're going to start at 5:20 and count back the number of minutes it takes Mark to get to his lesson and do his chores. Here we go. 5:20, 15 minutes, 5 o'clock, 25 minutes, 5:45, 40. Okay, you see right here, we went back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put us at 5:40. Very good. Okay, scholars, we're going to stop right here, and thank you so much for being so patient with Miss E, and we're just learning quite a bit about elapsed time. So we're going to pick this up in part 2. See you in a couple of minutes.